Out the game, the running game, and Latavius and Steph, let him do his thing?
Yes, absolutely. Anytime, I've always said that, the run game is going to be an easier way to move the football when it comes to, you're not less risk. And so anytime we can get the run game going and have explosive runs, that's always preferred. Especially in the second half there when we got a 3-score lead and we were trying to churn clock. So anytime we can get that going, we're going to try. But, it is tough to stay patient at times because you have a second and short, you run the ball, and then you lose a couple of yards. Now it's 3rd and 4, and you're back to your drop-back game. And, you're thinking, why did we run on second down? So it's always that balance of trying to be patient, run the ball, but also not wasting plays.
How important was it to get a score before the half and then to come right back after the kickoff and score in their first drive back?
So Coach Zimmer talks about that. He says, back in May during OTAs, we sit in a team meeting and he shows us film of teams that do that. He calls it a double dip, where you finish the half and you start the second half, and you score on both possessions. And he said many times when you double dip, you can put teams away quickly. And so we talk about it, and because Coach Zimmer preaches it, a guy like Kyle Rudolph is on the sideline saying, hey man, let's double dip. Before we even go down and score to end the half, we're talking about how important that is to do that. And today we were able to, and would have loved to have been able to do more in the second half to really pull away.
When you look at some of the fumbles this year and the past years, would any quarterback hit that way and fumbling the ball, or is there something that you can do or you want to do consciously that you're obviously not seeing it?
All fumbles are different, and I think when you have one like I had against the Bills where I was running forward and the ball was not secure against my body and it got punched out from behind, that's unacceptable. That's 100% on me. When you're in the pocket, when there's two hands on the ball, when you're having to see downfield and something happens, that's a little different. If I'm going to drop back scared about fumbling, I'm never going to make a throw or a play. I mean, there were completions today that we made that the only reason they're being made is because I've got to be aggressive and fight to keep the play alive and find a completion. And so finding that balance of protecting the football while being aggressive is welcome to quarterbacking in this league. But I felt on the one that I fumbled that they returned for a touchdown, specifically that one, I was climbing in the pocket. I didn't want to take another sack. I had two people in front of me that I could dump it to, and I just was trying to dump it to them and pull my arms apart to dump it. The minute you don't have two hands on the ball, now it's free reign for the defensive lineman to grab it. And I thought he had me more in my lower half and that I could get rid of it, but he clearly, was able to punch it out.
Kirk, you rushed a touchdown. Was that just the perfect call for that situation?
Kyle Rudolph's got to make a really good block on the strong safety there. It's one-on-one with him, and so if that block's got to get made, and then I just read the end, and pretty standard play. And both the receiver and Kyle did a great job holding up to get me in there, and I think it was another good play call that gives us some flexibility.
You're 2-0 with passionate pregame speeches. Is it safe to say you're going to continue?
You're going to have to ask Limbaugh. It's his show. I just do what he tells me. Try to keep him happy.
So he gave you permission to do that?
Well, yeah. He told me on the flight back last week. He said, you got it next week. I said, okay. And then in pregame, he looked at me and just pointed and stared at me, and that was enough for me to know I better bring it. And I gave him the thumbs up. I got it. So, you'll have to ask him.
What is Latavius' maybe greatest strength, do you think?
He's a good back. He runs downhill really well. He has good body lean. He's got a nice spin move. He just runs with a forward lean that I think helps us and does a great job in protection. Catches the ball well. And is a smart player and is very conscientious. I mean, he'll come over to me and talk about details in the game plan to make sure he's doing his job down to the proper step every time. And that's when you know a guy's a professional. So I think he's a total package there. And he's done a great job for us.
Were you guys always confident that you would get, with the backs you have, always confident that you'd get that balance that you wanted with the running game?
Were we confident we would always get that?
Yeah, I'm sure you were always confident that adventure.
I feel like it's week to week so much. You just play the game that you have to play that week. When our defense is causing them to be 0 for 10 on third down and holding up and standing up the way they were, it's just not a game to invite Chandler Jones to come wreck it and get them right back in the game. So we were trying to run the ball to keep a great player like Chandler Jones from ruining the game. And he still made plays, certainly. But we didn't want to, play to his strength and anytime you can run the ball, I think it gives you that chance. And it's week to week. Other games, I think the play was to drop back and throw it all over the yard. So we'll just see what each week calls for.
What were your impressions of Phelan's catch on the 3rd and 13 on the sideline? Did you feel like that was maybe a turning point at the time?
I just think that's a hidden play, right? Because we go down and score on that possession. If we don't convert that, we're punting. The odds of converting a 3rd and 13 with their pass rush are not high. We hadn't been very successful on 3rd down prior to that. That's a big deal. And with how close the game ends up being, I think that's a huge play, and it's kind of a hidden play because it's not the one that scored the points or the one that people will talk about, but that's a big, big play, especially because they dropped. I mean, they weren't bringing the house. It wasn't like there were a lot of windows out there. It took a great play, and it was huge that we got that.
You mentioned in OTA just about coming in here and then the rest of the team, the locker room, giving you the keys to this team and not really, giving you the keys to lead how you want to lead. Does that take some time to being comfortable to become a more vocal leader and doing what you do in the pregame huddle? What's kind of the progression of that?
I think we're past now in week 6, going into week 7. I think we're past tiptoeing in. I think April, May, there was a time to kind of feel your way through things. Maybe even a little bit in July. But once the season gets going, it's full steam ahead, and I got to be me and lead any way I can and be assertive, and if I have an opinion, I got to speak up. My temperament is one to usually, not be very self-promotional and just kind of do my part. But at times, if I feel I need to speak up or share my opinion, I certainly will do that. And I'm more of a reluctant leader when given the opportunity or asked to. Then I'll step up.
What has it been able to Adam continue at this level, even when obviously defense must be trying to take things away from him?
Yeah, we're going to get that. We're going to get that as the year goes on. Defenses are going to look at, when is Stephon getting the ball, when is Adam getting the ball, when is Kyle Rudolph getting the ball. Let's situationally, formationally, try to take away things. And so we're going to have to play off that. That's why you want depth. That's why you want your team to stay healthy, because they can take away. I saw Patrick Peterson at times was shadowing Steph. And so when he does that, hey, at least he can't cover Steph and Adam. So teams will try to take things away, and then we have to play that chess match and have an answer in return, and that'll be the challenge all year long.
I think Harry said sometimes this team can be so intense that you can't always have fun, and today it was great on both sides of the ball to see you guys doing the dead arm dance and also the defense having fun. How important is that for this group?
Boy, that's a great question, and that's been my biggest challenge as a pro. This game is so challenging, and I feel when I take my eye off the ball for 1 second, I get beat. And as a result, it drives you away from having fun, and that's too bad because you want to enjoy this game and love it and have a blast and do it with a smile on your face. So I'd like to think, like Harry said, that we can play at a high level and do it with a smile on our face and have fun, but that's a sweet spot that's hard to find sometimes, and something I'm always working on, certainly.
Kirk, at the end of the first half, what happened with the delayed game? Was that just the sideline communication?
No, it's my fault. My fault. Ball's got to get snapped. I was processing all that they were doing as a defense and what to do in response, and there was a lot of moving parts there in situational football, knowing we had no timeouts of what I wanted to do and be smart with it, and can't do that.
Last couple for Kirk.